Ever since my daughter was in middle school, she gave me the nickname Podge. And ever since then, that's what my daughter calls me. That's what all of her friends call me. We were always super close, and I was really worried when she was going off to college that maybe we'd grow apart a little bit more. So I just sort of racked my brain. What could I do to try to stay as connected to her as possible? So I came up with the idea that every Sunday, I would record a 5-minute episode about the kind of topics we might normally talk about. Send it to her Monday morning, and then she could watch it on her way to campus. I thought it'd be a good idea to resurrect that. They'll be the kinds of topics that I would talk to my now 25-year-old daughter, or the younger version of myself, or people that I mentor, or maybe you. Hi everybody, welcome to Coffee with Podge, episode number 3, first one with my Coffee with Podge mug. So I was out visiting my daughter in Denver this weekend, and I was talking to her about the Coffee with Podge series, and I asked her if she had any suggestions for this week's episode, and she said she did. She thought I should do an episode about comparison, and when I asked her what she meant, she was like, well, comparison to others. She basically said that, she's 24, about to be 25, that she didn't have a single friend, guy or girl, who wasn't absolutely freaked out by where they are in their lives. She said part of it's that everyone doesn't even know what to compare themselves to. Some people are in relationships, some people are getting married, some people are having kids, some people are going back to school, some people are buying homes, some people are traveling the world. On top of that, with social media, you don't even know what's true. And so you're comparing yourself to all these different things. You don't have any, there's no yardstick, there's no benchmark for, am I ahead of where I should be? Am I behind where I should be? And everyone is just confused and, to use her words, almost panicked by where they currently are in life and not sure what to do next. And I was thinking about it as I was preparing to do this episode, and I thought about myself and my own journey. And when I was younger, I made some of the same mistakes where I would either compare myself to other people. And again, the reality is if you haven't walked a mile in someone else's shoes, you don't really know what their life is like, especially nowadays, what their life looks like on Instagram, what their life is in real life might bear almost no resemblance to each other. Living down here in Miami in particular, what you see on the outside and what's reality often, bear no resemblance. With that being said, what I realized in my journey, that the adjustment that I made that really made a big difference. And when I think about the people that I think are not just successful, but that are happy and find some fulfillment and purpose in their life, the person they're comparing themselves to is themselves. The reality is, the only person on the planet that we really know at sort of that deep, deep, deep level. You might know your romantic partner well, but the only person you know at the deepest of levels is yourself. And if you're being honest with yourself, we all know what we're capable of. We all know if we're putting in the maximum effort that we could. It isn't necessarily what we say, but we know when we're doing our best. And I think back from my competitive athletic days, let's say when I was wrestling, there were times where I would wrestle someone who I was much better than and beat him pretty easily and be very disappointed because I didn't wrestle well. I didn't wrestle nearly as good a match as I could have. There have been other times where I was wrestling someone way better than me. In fact, the 2 best matches I ever wrestled, I lost. But I wrestled, but the matches were close, and these were guys who should have mopped the floor with me. So, the only person who really knows is yourself. And so the person you should be comparing yourself to is you. And when you're putting your plan together, and if you go back to one of the other episodes I did about systems versus goals and having a little bit of both, when you have your goals and you have the systems and processes and sort of mile markers along the journey, you know what you can do. You know when you put in the maximum effort. And ultimately, the only person who's going to hold yourself accountable is you. And so instead of worrying about all this external noise, instead of worrying about, keeping up with the Joneses and whether Johnny's got a nicer car than you, or Frank has a hotter girlfriend than you, or anything like that. You need to be focused on your life's journey, the decisions you're making, the goals you've set for yourself, and whether or not you're doing the things necessary to be able to take you in the direction that you want to, and the speed that you want to get there. And all the rest of it is just noise. I think so many people these days, the number of times, I'll go out, to a nice restaurant, let's say, or any place that's, maybe it's a tourist attraction or whatever it might be. And people are so busy trying to document their life for other people, I guess, to be envious of the life that they're living, as opposed to enjoying the moment. And that's not to say you don't take pictures to preserve the memory and so forth, but be honest with yourself. Why are you doing it? Is it for you? Is it for other people? Anyway, I guess, just to wrap things up, look in the mirror and be honest with yourself about the path you're on, whether or not you're putting in the effort necessary. And that's the only person you really need to hold yourself accountable to. And that's the only person you need to measure yourself against. Anyway, hope you enjoyed the episode of Coffee with Podge.